We did date Mara Jade, but that's not canon. Mara Jade's not canon. Here's my take on canon, and what we'll do is we'll play some of these matches here. We'll replay matches while I talk about it. My take on this whole idea of Star Wars canon. A very brief take up front. I think it is very damaging to the whole thing. I just think, you know, Dr. Baldhead in stream mentioned the word dogmatic earlier, and what that means, it's normally used with religion, where you say dogmatic means I believe this one thing, and this might be not a pure definition, but I believe this one thing, and this is going to be true no matter what else happens. And so like I was raised in a household where I was taught that the Bible wasn't the inerrant word of God. And a lot of you maybe are in that same, maybe you're in this position now, some of you believe that, and that's fine. I'm not coming here to go after anybody's beliefs or anything. I came as an adult, I came to realize that I just didn't agree with that. You know, if you look at the Bible, there are different sections of it that just disagree with each other, and they don't jive. Well, I feel like the canon Star Wars community, the part of the Star Wars community that really loves canon, has become a lot like that. Like, you can make a new Star Wars show. Like, here's the canon community talking to Disney or Lucasfilm or whoever. You can make a new Star Wars show or a new Star Wars game, but if it doesn't 100% jive with every other piece of Star Wars that's in the canon, then I will hate your new content. Okay? Now, that's not to say that there's not holes in Obi-Wan. I mean, there are definite holes in that series that produce some real problems. You know, there are definite challenges, and that series just kind of ignored a lot of plot armor and stuff. But a lot of the problems are with the shows they're making. They're trying so hard to stick to this idea of canon that they have to get around and like, oh, if they used a lightsaber the wrong way, now I don't like this show because that's not the certain form. I don't even know the names of forms of the Jedi fighting forms. I'm not going to use those names so I don't know them. I just think that's done so much damage to something that is fantasy. It's fantasy. It's just fun. Can't we just tell stories and have fun with them? Why do we have to make them all line up to a certain set of dogma? They all have to line up. Like, if a comic... So here's a big objection. If a book or a comic book says that... And I saw a brief little take on this weekend. If a comic book says that Palpatine, like, somehow impregnated Shmi with Anakin as part of his entire master plan, then we have to believe that all along. Like, we just destroyed the mystery. The mystery is gone. The mystery, we're taking all of the mystery and the fun out of Star Wars. We're making it something that has to fit into a square box. And that's why I think canon, the idea of canon, sucks. I like the idea of consistency, a basic consistency of story. That's why I don't like the fact that Luke was going to slaughter Kylo in his sleep. I think that's way out of Luke's character. I myself, I'm 50 years old, guys. I've been through a lot of different ups and downs in my life, different stages of life, parts of my life where I look at it and say everything's a mess. This is ridiculous. Parts of life where I say this is great. I get the idea of sinking to a really low place. I'm not going to shoot my nephew in the head in his sleep because I think he's evil. You know? I just... But, so I have a problem with that. But I have an probably a bigger problem with the idea of canon. Because there's so many... We're considering these comic books canon now. We're considering these books canon now. All of this stuff is coming in. We have 1,000 pieces of material into the canon. And most of what people that watch Star Wars absorb are movies and shows on Disney+. That's most of what we absorb. So when the Star Wars community complains about something major, like, I didn't like the way that was because it didn't fit in the canon, all you're doing is really separating yourself, and you're alienating yourself from people that are learning to love Star Wars. I guarantee you guys, 15 to 20 years from now, if Star Wars is still a thing, there's going to be a generation of people in their 20s and 30s that love the sequels. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. 15, it might even come quicker, maybe like 10 years from now, there's going to be a generation of Star Wars fans that absolutely love the sequels. When the prequels came out, my generation, the original Star Wars generation, we hated them. Maybe hate's not the right word. We went to the first movie and we're disappointed. Went to the second movie and we're bored. And the third movie, I still think is a good movie. I still think there's a lot lacking in Revenge of the Sith. For a lot of you, Revenge of the Sith is the greatest piece of Star Wars content ever made. For me, a lot of the lines in it are, the things that Anakin says, he just has some of the worst. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. We know it's your point of view, dummy. Just say it. All this extra stuff. If you're not with me, you're my enemy. Yeah, we know. We know how stuff works. We know how yin and yang, and we know how this stuff works. So, but back to the idea of the canon. I just think that this whole idea. One more analogy here. I grew up in the 70s, 80s. In the 80s, it was Trekkies. Okay, Trekkies would read all the books, and they would watch. They had all the original Star. This is before the new Next Generation even came out. They had all the original episodes memorized. So they would go to Star Trek conventions. There's a great Saturday Night Live skit on it with William Shatner in the 80s, where he goes to a Star Trek convention, and they're all dressed up in the costumes, and they're all like nerding out on him, right? They're like, hey, in episode 14, Revenge of the Transdotion, when you said that you loved, and they go, what do you think of that? And William Shatner goes, yes, sir. Well, just tells him, he says, get a life. He tells them how to get a life. Go outside, make some friends, play some games. That Trekkie version of the 70s and 80s has now it's now Star Wars. Trekkies aren't really a thing anymore. They really came up with Trekkies started cosplay before anybody else did. They were dressing up with Spock ears and Klingon costumes, and they were learning Klingon. They started all this. Now it's converted to Star Wars. So all these people say, you have a whole group of people, and I watch Star Wars Theory too. Some of it I just can't stomach. It's like, I don't care. I just don't care. But I watch him too. He's a good guy. And this is nothing personal against anybody for sure. But when a new show or movie comes out, and we're nitpicking it to find some new piece of canon that fits in, or a new book, or a new comic book, you're saying, this is now canon, that Darth Vader, dreamt about Ewoks before we even saw Ewoks. Whoa! I just don't care. I don't care. I just want to have good, entertaining movies and shows that are consistent with each other, and I just don't care about canon. So that's my rant on canon. That's how I feel about it. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm way out of line here. That's just all the things I have to say about kind of how Star Wars works right now, how the canon works, how the community is. And guys, I'm serious when I say there are going to be, in 10 to 15 years, there's going to be people that love the sequels. Just get ready for it. It's true. It's going to happen. So that's it. That's my take on Star Wars canon.